feels good to be back. Welcome back to the show where I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. And by God, Danganronpa V3's 4th chapter is such a banger. And I bet almost everyone can agree with me on this. Dude, this chapter takes the emotional heights of the 3rd chapter, takes a good, deep look at it, and laughs in its fucking face, because if you thought that chapter was emotional, which if you saw the last video, you know this picture didn't, you're in one for a hell of a ride today. A ride of sadness and despair. Of course, once you get to the second half of Danganronpa, things tend to get a much more serious turnaround, and that's absolutely no exception here. This chapter, more than almost any other one, explores the themes of truth versus lies and questioning the value of life. Not only is the daily life section interesting and engaging, but the murder is conceptually unique, and the trial is beyond exhilarating. For the very first scene of the chapter, the setup immediately begins. But dude, last video was so fucking long and really painful to make. I think this video, I'm going to start cutting out parts I feel that aren't as important. As the chapter begins, we see Rantaro's little video, and I was especially... Okay. Listen, it's not gay to appreciate a man's beauty. But this guy looks way too good to have died in the first chapter. So Rentaro goes on a yap about several things, most of which is completely blocked out. But what you essentially need to know is that this guy 3 chapters later is still suspicious as fuck. Like, why, bro? Okay, the cutting is getting a little intense, but before we start talking about the full chapter, I've come to notice, oh great heavens! Guys, please subscribe if you haven't already, guys. We're so close to... Even beyond just that, things are all over the place in the land of the living with the characters by this point. Miu is tweaking out of her mind, Kokichi's antics are in full swing, and Kaito is officially considered terminal. And Gota's feeling as valuable as a summer ant. But what I find to be the most important is Himiko's new attitude towards life. Not much to say about it other than, I really like it. Gotta give Tenko and Angie's death meaning somehow. I really did have a change of heart about Himiko this chapter though. I'll talk about it soon. I really appreciate what she's doing here, and what she continues to do in the future, which primarily is being funny as hell. Like, for some reason she gets really into the Monokubs' whole like incest family thing. I don't... Which, by the way, on that topic, when I was replaying this game, the worst thing happened. Listen, there are 3 instances of incest in Danganronpa V3. Korekio's motive, Tsurugi's fucking love hotel, and the Monokubs. While playing the game, all 3 of these things happened in a row. Right as chapter 3 ended, I got Tsurugi's love... Oh my god. If there's anything that could have made those awful events better, it was definitely Himiko. Because even though her love hotel thing is like just as weird, at least she turns the Monokubs thing into something like kind of funny. But anyways, the daily life is the daily life is by far my favorite. Too far? Wait, what did I... While Shuichi is exploring, we got a couple new areas, that being the detective's ultimate lab upstairs, and part of the blah blah blah. Dude, holy shit. I mean, even before the virtual world, the thing that's most worth mentioning is the nightly training with Kaito and Maki, and how it really gets into full swing. The important part of that meeting being the part Maki... Holy shit! Okay, that's the wrong song. The important part of that meeting being the part Maki asks a really funny question to Shuichi. Hey, Shuichi, I know we've been in a killing game for the past several days now, and 7 students have died. But just curious about your little crush on your dead best friend. I'm not in love with Kaito. No, but seriously, Maki's backstory is excellent. No, Maki is excellent. I think Maki might genuinely be one of the best written Danganronpa characters, like, ever. Even besides her backstory, which I'll get to in a minute, the way she handles that silly-ass crush conversation was a serious breath of fresh air. I thought it was going to be one of those stupid anime cliches where they start fighting over a misunderstanding. I forgot this game is well written for a minute. We should really start trusting this game to make right decisions by this point. Yeah, well...
Ever since that day, I trained to become an assassin.
Yes, that's it.
Her backstory is actually really sad, as you'd expect, but not in an over-the-top way. you know, it's dramatic considering she's a high schooler who's also an assassin in a killing game, who's friends with a detective and a prospect astronaut with a terminal illness, all in a fake world, fake for entertainment. But it still works. It's written with moderation, and you don't have to suspend disbelief to allow yourself to be sucked into the story. Her life makes sense and is weirdly realistic. Mayhaps there's some commentary there? I know I've repeated this a million times, but everything just feels so natural and I fucking love it. This is why people say Shuichi's the best main character. Kaede felt like a confident, complete character before the game even started. Shuichi is so masterful as a main character because we get to see him grow this much. Seeing him talk the way he does helps me realize he's not just an everyman character, rather like his own character with a distinct personality. You know, like a real person. Next warning though, something that surprised me more than anything this game has to offer is how Himiko is actually funny. Like, what do you mean? How did I miss this the first time around? I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, genuinely. I had to put it in my notes because it was such a good moment. Like, when I realized that she actually made me laugh, my mind fucking exploded. I spent so much time last video hating, actually hating. Nothing much really happens between this point and the virtual world, so I'm skipping to there. Okay, yep, skip all that. Yep, just walking around. Ooh, this part's good. Are you kidding me?
Talk about it.
Okay, so we're skipping around. Okay, this is good now. Hello? I said stop! Stop! It's good! Stop! Stop! The victim and murderer of this case, unlike last time, don't actually have that much controversy behind their characters, and I feel like the intention was really set. Like, I mean, Miu was created to be hated and became one of the most iconic characters in Danganronpa history. Which, I mean, no matter how you feel, whether you hate or love her, she's written intentionally, and there's nothing you can really debate about it. Regardless of the intention, she's written in a way where everyone can understand what she is, and it's up to personal opinion.
So you're welcome, Dick Cheese. Think of me during your next dick.
And I mean, that's the same with Gonta, where most people like Gonta, so there's not even an argument there. But if you don't like Gonta, I completely get it, because even I'm a little bit annoyed by him sometimes. My first thought is how much the game is literally winking and nudging at you since the very first moment of the chapter. Like, dude, if you're paying enough attention, you can tell that something is up with Kokichi and Miu from the very start, other than the fact that Shuichi literally mentions it, by how far the most predictable murder in the entire franchise. But obviously, that's not the point, so it doesn't even matter. Like, seriously, there's no way you couldn't guess that the ultimate inventor, you know, the one that's good with computers, would take everyone to a virtual world where she has complete control over anything and not try to do a murder scheme. I mean, of course, it's intentional, but I think it's done really, really well. Turns out the game's been winking at you for a while now. That aside though, the Monokums forcefully pull your attention towards them to yap about some, like, motive or something. I don't really know. It's something like the outside world, I think. And Monokuma, of course, knows something about it. I think. But, like, listen, that's not the important part here. The important part is the fact that Monotaro deadass calls Miu mommy, and she likes it? What? What is happening? What? Bro, this game was seriously ahead of its time. Miu is the type of character that would definitely be into that shit in real life. And as far as I know, that mommy shit wasn't a thing back in 2017. Maybe it was, but as far as I know, it wasn't. And that's insane. I fucking died when I saw this for the first time. And the second time, and the third time, it's unconditionally funny to me, bro. I physically cannot resist the urge to laugh, and I don't know why. On a slightly more serious note, though, as these chapters go on, there's a theme I haven't mentioned, but has been ever more important with each subsequent death. Never carry a burden by yourself. We see time and time again as the burden of fear, anger, weakness, and vulnerability is carried by one person alone, which is what causes them to commit murder in the first place. Kaede took the burden of killing the mastermind upon herself, despite being offered help. Even more so, both Kirumi and Ryoma took the burden of life on their own, and so on. In a killing game, the worst thing you can do is allow yourself to be alone, both literally, because you can't get caught lacking, but also mentally. To carry something as heavy as these characters is to allow yourself to suffer more than you could ever need to. You're trapped with people who, on some level, care about you. Maybe not everyone, but someone. You see this theme become more and more relevant as people begin to rely far too much on Shuichi's detective work to solve their problems. And Shuichi takes this burden, where it comes into full swing by the final chapter. It gets worse and worse each time, to a point where the characters lose the ability to do anything for themselves. Once we get into the virtual world, however, one thing I happen to notice is how much Kokichi turned up his antics to this point. I mean, of course, given how much more he knew than everyone else, it only makes sense for him to do whatever the fuck he wanted, considering everyone was at least 3 steps behind him the entire time. I mean, even the moment they entered where he predicted Gonta joining him when he abandoned the group. Knowledge is power, and he used it hard. We'll get back to that later, though. To be honest, the virtual world is a whole lot of... Nothing really happens, and it's not very significant since we literally don't get anything done. For the most part, it's just a bunch of fetch quests where instead of trying to find the secret to the whatever, they're trying to find a reason not to close the game and do something less boring! Into, you know. Oh god. Oh god. Mew! No, Mew! Mew's death was entirely predictable, but of course, that's not the point. Her discovery was much more fun than that of others, naturally since there's flopping between the virtual world and the real world. Plus, Kokichi's here. Kokichi joins us for a large majority of the investigation, where he obviously is a much bigger help than Kaito could ever be. He's also funnier and more entertaining in my opinion, more so than even Maki. The way he just messes with everyone and provokes literally everyone Shuichi talks to makes it feel like there's something he's not letting on. And of course, that's exactly the case. That, of course, will be uncovered in the... Now, before we get to the... I'm gonna go back to what I said before and actually delve a little bit into Mew's character now that she's dead. Now, because Mew's more or less a joke character, there's actually not a lot about her backstory, and in the trial, we really don't get to talk about Mew at all. Unlike in the other trials, where the victim gets a lot of their personality explored, Mew gets almost none of that. And as a matter of fact, beyond her own murder plan, which we'll get to in a minute, she actually isn't talked about at all. And there's not really much to explore anyway. She has little to no backstory. Her love hotel is just as weird as the rest of them.
You don't want that future with me? You won't let me be your girlfriend, Shuichi? 'Cause you don't need me? Is that it? No! I don't want you to abandon me too. So we gotta make a baby.
She doesn't go through an arc, and nobody even really likes her, so no one's sad when she dies either. It's actually pretty sad, but it makes sense. I mean, she's not supposed to be a character with much depth. Now, of course, despite how much I've been hyping up this trial, at first, it literally just is a normal trial. A lot of the gags and comedic value from the trial come from Himiko, funny enough, who has proven to me upon the 1, 2, 5, 6, 3, 5th playthrough of the game. Eventually, Himiko is a character worth liking. The primary mystery at first is trying to figure out what the fuck Mew was planning. Beyond her murder, she had her own murder planned on Kokichi, but it's pretty easy to tell really early on. I mean, was Mew ever really a smart character? Like, sure, she was an inventor, but when it came to actual critical thinking, she was not the brightest. Hints were sprinkled all over the place that she was clearly up to no good. Essentially, her plan sat on the fact that she had absolute control over the virtual world, so it'd be impossible to guess she could be the murderer. And yeah, if you ignore every neon flashing sign, then maybe. It was a great plan, I guess. Sadly, the remaining students have a combined intelligence greater than a fucking wood plank, so of course they would figure it out. Beside her though, this trial is way more serious than at first glance. After you get Mew's very shitty mystery out of the way, things really get down. I mean, the murder itself is pretty easy to solve because, obviously, using process of elimination, it can't be anyone but Gonta. The idea that this lovable idiot could kill anyone is so painfully foreign. I mean, the truth is revealed about halfway through the trial, yet nobody dies for another hour and 50 minutes. Like, Jesus, was it that hard to believe? Which, by the way, yes it is. This is the result of blind trust. In the setting of the class trial, emotions and logic go half and half. We've seen this, as time and time again, logic has been shot down by emotions, and vice versa. In every chapter so far, we learned about this balance. Whether it be not to rely on emotions and convict Kaede for what she did, no matter how we felt, or trust in Himiko with her magic show despite her being a clear suspect. We even chose to believe in Tenko to not have killed herself in chapter 3. Time and time again, we've seen as this balance shows its effect. But now, with the absence of both Kyo, Angie, and many other logical thinkers, the trials have been unfairly balanced in favor of emotions. Characters like Kaito, Samugi, Himiko, and Gonta fight so hard to believe rather than to find the truth, and that adamancy is what hurts them the most. The stubbornness to not adapt or find balance hurts you. In this case, most of all, Kaito, who fights endlessly to believe even in a place such as this where it's not necessary. And because of this, the way he gets shot down is the definition of a slow burn. The feeling that Kokichi of all people is going to be able to live so much longer than Gonta ever could just makes the viewer question what the true value of life is. And I mean, it's interesting because in past games, Chapter 4 touches on the value of life in so many other ways. Whether it be Sakura sacrificing herself for everyone else, giving them an opportunity to discover the mystery behind the school, or Gundam dueling Nekomaru to save the others from the strawberry and grape house. I mean, one of Gundam's final words was literally to value life. Gonta's motive for killing in and of itself is a question of how much value life has anyway. He questions whether it's worth it to just die where they stand instead of pushing through the struggles that lie outside in the real world. And then there's also Monokuma just kind of killing his cubs for fun, I guess. Life in the virtual world. The life of someone nobody even really liked. The life of someone so sweet and arguably innocent that they could never be seen as someone who could murder. The voice acting between Gonta and Kokichi is seriously fantastic. I'm sure everyone knows this by now. The desperate cries from Gonta as Kokichi continues to yell at him is nothing short of heartbreaking. The scenario in which Gonta doesn't remember his crime creates something in which everyone is wrong. Although Gonta isn't lying, he technically did commit the murder. You can see signs of Kokichi actually getting really mad, which is funny because that little shit had it coming.
The thing you guys wanted so badly! A truth without any lies! New Iruma's killer is Gonta Gokuhara!
Really? Did Gonta really do it? Why? Gonta kill Mew, forget everything. Gonta even think he not do anything bad. And then Gonta tried to blame someone else and make everyone suffer. Why? Why Gonta do such terrible thing?
I know the music's really sad and all that, but I forgot to say the funny catchphrase. thank you guys for watching the videos or something where I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. Yeah.